In today's pod, Sumeet, Barjinder, and Shank join me to cover the Phoenix Suns Game 1 victory versus the Milwaukee Bucks. We cover the game plans, player performances, and make our picks for who we think will be the 2021 NBA champion. I'm Param and this is Operation 6.
All right, so
Game 1 of the finals.
game one, that actually was crazy.
NBA Finals, Bucks versus Suns.
Honestly, from the very beginning, like at the very beginning of the game, both teams were going fast, but then by like halfway through the first, the Suns just took control.
Honestly, right from the tip though, you could tell the Suns had control of the game, wire to wire. Like the Bucks made a bit of a comeback at the end, but
that's expected.
That's expected. Like ebbs and flows of the game. Basketball's a game of runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Suns just had a fucking stranglehold the whole game.
Yeah, CP3 killed it. Devin Booker killed it, and Ayton killed it. Like they just did exactly what they needed to do, and their role players came through as well. Like Mikal Bridges hitting his shots, playing defense.
Crowder shot poorly, but he was defending like crazy.
Suns had an amazing start.
Yeah, that was the big thing. They started off, their offense was crazy to start.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it though.
Yeah.
What do you guys see that stood out, game plan wise?
For me, game plan wise, it was seeing the lack of actual game plan by the Bucks, because you just saw they were just okay, go here. Okay, now he shoots. Okay, now let's take a step back jumper here. Let Giannis just run through the middle.
Those step back jumpers, watching the game, they killed my brain cells. Every possession, it was run up, pull up three, run up, pull up three. They never got into an actual flow. They never actually ran any half-court offense.
Yeah, not to mention, it felt like they were rushing some of their plays.
They've
got time.
Really did.
Yeah.
They'd be shooting with 20 seconds left. And you'd be wondering, if that was the best play they could have created.
100% it wasn't.
Some of them were open shots, but there's a reason Jrue Holiday crossing that half-court line isn't getting picked up beyond the three-point line. It's because they want you to take that early shot clock three so they can get transition.
Jrue Holiday is basically a better Eric Bledsoe, because you saw Eric Bledsoe, he shot okay from three in the regular season and then just plummeted during the playoffs. Right now you see Jrue Holiday had some good games in the playoffs, but game one in the finals, he came up short majorly.
Yeah. Obviously, what Jrue Holiday does,
Middleton
on court, it's huge. But I
Middleton
really
had
wish
a huge run on his own too. But it just wasn't enough. I think he scored 9 points in a row on his own, maybe 11 at the end of the third. And
he was hot.
You could see he was on it, but you could see he was looking around nobody else was helping him, man. It was just him.
Brook Lopez was playing horrible defense. You can't really expect anything else from him because he's so slow, but you still you want to be in the right positions. And I guess maybe the Bucks put him in a terrible position by continuously switching. Because every single time you saw anyone scoring, half the time it was on Brook Lopez.
Yeah, it was from a switch too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris Paul, bro. This guy always starts his play with a high screen. Works perfectly.
Yeah. That's the thing about Chris Paul, though. He always has the game under control.
Chris Paul has the experience, right? So that's what makes it better.
Yeah. And you can tell, with the experiences he's had through the playoffs, the finals are really nothing different for him. Right? He's never been here, but he knows exactly what to do and how to act.
Another big thing I saw was the Bucks really, first of all, Sumeet mentioned this while we were watching the game. They weren't really creating mismatches at all. But even the few mismatches they did create, they weren't there was one play where Bobby Portis, I think off the top of my head, he had Cameron Payne in the post. He took one dribble, kicked it out for no reason. If he just, backed him down and tried to create something, could have drawn a foul, could have gotten a layup, could have gotten a double team. But there was just nothing. They don't create mismatches, and when they have them, they don't attack them. And at this level, with the playoff basketball, when it slows down like this, you need to have you need to have an offense where you're attacking mismatches.
It's not only that, you have to, it's always, especially in the playoffs, it's like a half-court game. And you can tell the Suns had that down, and the Bucks had no idea what they were doing on that end. Because in the regular season, it's very easy to rely on the full court press. Like, not full court press, like full court offense.
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't work in the playoffs because on the other end, on the defensive end, the team you're guarding is very meticulous in what they're doing. And they're not just going to take a bad shot. Whereas in the regular season, a lot of teams are going to settle, right? They're inexperienced, things like that. It's a different game, man.
You also, at the end of the game, you saw more in the second half, you didn't see Brook Lopez and Giannis on the court together. And you're going to see a lot more of that, I feel like, throughout the series now, because Bud finally, after three seasons of this, finally in the first game of the finals, second half of the game, finally realizes that he can't play both of them together. You just cannot. You can't have two people that, when Brook Lopez is hitting his threes, it's one thing, and he hit some of them today. But even when he's hitting his threes, you can't have a guy on the court that is protecting the paint. But every time the Suns came down the court, the whole offense was just get Brook Lopez into a screen and roll situation and attack. Every time. And even off the ball, you saw Bridges cut off of him. You saw Payne cut off of him. You saw him struggle to guard the big man, what's his name, Ayton, on the cuts, on the rolls. He struggled to guard those two.
He struggled with everything on defense. He struggled with everything. He just struggled on defense. That's just plain and simple, right? But I feel like the biggest thing we're going to see 100% is the coaches and how they make their adjustments. And that's always what you have to look for in the playoffs. That's where the best coaches are found. Because you see like Doc Rivers, right? He's, in my opinion, the most overrated coach in the NBA because he just didn't make any adjustments. Every single game, he would take out Joel and Ben at the same time, and then their team was just screwed. Like, there's nothing that they can do.
You're seeing the same thing with the Bucks. You're seeing the exact same thing with the Bucks. Lack of adjustments is what's killed them in 2019 against our team, against the Raptors. They didn't adjust at all. Didn't adjust last year in the playoffs against the Heat. They didn't adjust this year so far in the playoffs at all, and still somehow made the finals by the grace of God. Whereas if Kevin Durant's foot was just a half-inch smaller, the Bucks are at home right now watching the Nets in the finals, maybe the Sixers. And they're just lucky to be in the position they are, but I don't see them winning 4 games against this team. I just don't. The Suns they're on their game right now. They're rolling. Chris Paul is on a mission.
We'll see
Booker
how
is
the
the
home
best
games
scorer
are.
left in the league now. Not in the league, but he was the best player left in the conference finals and on, the best offensive player.
Yo,
and he's
honestly,
just showing it.
With the home games, it's interesting, but at the same time, like I feel like maybe Drew Holiday can have a really good game at home. Maybe Chris Middleton goes off at home. They can win 1 game. I don't see this series going past 6 max. So I don't see it going past 6 games.
Honestly, the way they played, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a sweep, man. Barjinder said that too earlier.
Yep.
Like, I would not be surprised if it was a sweep at all.
Yeah, Suns have the ball movement. They have the IQ. They have the offense. The Bucks don't really have anything. And from what we saw from the first game, I just don't see them going long in the game, man.
Who do you think is going to be the biggest X factor for the Bucks if they really want to win? And like, what do they have to do?
I feel like the shooters. I honestly feel like Giannis can't really bring it in the finals.
And this is a very standard statement. Very like it's not a hot take here. I think Giannis early on was attacking relentlessly in the first quarter. I think he started off the game 4 or 5, like 2-3 assists. He was on his stuff early on in the game. And I don't know, did you guys maybe like see that he got injured or something? I don't know, but I didn't feel like he played enough minutes.
He is coming from a hyper extension, so
maybe that's why. Did he re-aggravate it or something? Because he looked on his stuff. He had that chase down block in the first quarter. I'm like, yo, this guy does not look injured. But then he didn't play much. He wasn't aggressive anymore.
He didn't take a lot of shots either.
Honestly,
he didn't take a lot of shots.
For the next game, I feel like what they have to do is start Bryn Forbes over probably Brook Lopez.
Yeah,
move Giannis to the 5, PJ to the 4, and put
Brennan at the 2.
Brennan at the 2. I feel like they just need more shooting, and they can't have the garbage defense that they got from Brook Lopez.
I also
It's-
feel like they need to go for more free throws as well.
Oh,
Throughout
yeah,
the game, the
that's-
Yeah.
Suns
that's a
shot
huge
25
point.
26.
Yeah, Drew
The
Holiday.
Bucks shot 9 of 16.
Yeah,
that's
Drew
tough.
Holiday has to attack way more. Like he can't rely on his jumper like that because I feel like he
Oh,
has the ability to draw fouls on a consistent basis, and he just didn't.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. I think he shot like 3 or 4, like absolutely dumb pull-up jumpers. Early shot clock shots where
Yeah. Straight up.
you could
like,
create a
step
mismatch.
backs.
You could push, you could, just put pressure on the defense. And instead it's like, here, 20 seconds, chuck a step back. You're getting back on defense, giving up layups because of that.
One of my like keys of the game for the Bucks was that Giannis can't shoot mid clock threes.
And he did it anyways.
He did it, and Drew Holiday did it. And what I said about Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday was they both had to be aggressive. Neither of them two were really aggressive.
Well, no,
Chris
I can't.
Chris was only aggressive near the end of the game.
That's true, but honestly, Chris's game comes more off of what Giannis creates for the team.
Yeah.
He's a great ISO player, but I feel like the way he's incorporated into the offense is off of movement, off of pin downs, off of screens, and they're just not running any of that.
Who, Chris?
And Chris had to get it out of the mud by himself. In
Yeah.
the third quarter, that run he made, it was all ISO, step back. He was hitting contested shots in Crowder's face, in Bridges' face. I think he hit one in Ayton's face off of a screen. And they're all tough shots. And if that's what you're relying on to, bring it home,
Mhm.
you're gonna go home disappointed, man. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a couple of my keys for the game for the Suns were the role players have to play defense, which they 100% did,
100% did. Yep.
and that CP3 has to be CP3, and he was CP3 to the max.
Oh, CP3 was CP4 today, bro. He went off, man.
Yeah, like that was beautiful.
That was the historic CP game. You're gonna once he wins this chip, I'm gonna say I think the Suns are gonna take it in 6. Once he wins this chip, Booker may win the Finals MVP, but man, I hope Chris Paul gets it, man. That's a huge legacy boost if he gets
If
it.
you
Paul
look at it
deserves
from
a ring.
just this game, Booker had 27 and 6, and CP3 had 32 and 9. So
They went crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ayton had a
Mind
huge
you,
game.
Booker wasn't shooting that well this game as well.
that's
So-
true. That's very true. Actually, he went 8 of 21.
8 of
Yeah,
21,
something
but
like that.
the difference is he was being aggressive,
That's what they need him, right?
and his
Yeah.
shots were a lot of them were ISO fadeaways, but that's Devin Booker, man. I'm never gonna gripe on Devin Booker shooting those shots. I'm never gonna gripe on Chris Middleton shooting those shots either, because he's a tough shot maker.
Yeah.
But you can't have Drew Holiday taking those shots, man. Drew Holiday has to get downhill. He has to bucket. He has to create.
He has to
Creating
start
pressure.
posting up. I completely forgot that was actually an aspect of his game. Because
Yeah,
he can
no,
post
he-
up.
Well, you can't post the issue with that is you can't post up when you have Giannis, who he shoots. He's not you guys said it before. It's not the Ben Simmons thing where he's running up and he's scared to even shoot a layup. Like, he's actually shooting them. But the problem is at this level in the playoffs, if you're not making them and you're taking up space in the paint, like, this is maybe blasphemy from some perspective, Stephen A. blasphemy,
Yeah.
I think maybe you have to pull Giannis out sometimes, man, because their offense was free flowing for maybe it was only like a minute or two at the end of the third, but Giannis wasn't in and the ball was humming. Like, they were actually getting some movement. Chris Middleton made some tough shots too, but Giannis sometimes it just feels like he's in the way, man.
I know. I feel like it's Brook Lopez that's in the way.
Yeah, that too. You can't have two people like that, man, on the court together. Giannis is a 7-footer, man. He has to play center. If they want any chance to win this, he needs to play 36 minutes a game at the center position.
I feel like one
That's just
possibility. I feel like one possibility definitely could be putting Bobby Portis in it instead of Brook Lopez. He gives a little more spacing, a little bit more.
He moves his feet way better.
Yeah, maybe that could work, but at the same time, like, he's not exactly what you need.
Hmm. And then Giannis's free throw struggles continued. I
Yeah.
don't know off the top of my head how he shot at the free throw
7
line,
of 12.
but it was not good. Sorry, what was it?
7 of 12.
7 of 12. So yeah, you can't be shooting 50-something% from the free throw line as a
Hey, if
superstar.
there's anything though that I'm gonna say, he sick those free throws in the clutch. Like I think when there was like 1 minute left, he hit both of them. It
That's not
sucks
really
that you got it. It sucks you got to be surprised when a superstar makes both.
yeah.
But still,
It's kind of like when you look at like people like players like Shaq, you say okay, like he had like 50-something% in his career from the free throw line.
yeah. But
But
in
when
the
it
clutch, he
really
shot
mattered,
efficiently.
hmm?
In the clutch, he would make those free
Yeah.
throws.
Exactly.
I feel like they get their role players going too. I feel like they went to Middleton and Drew a bit too much. Drew was 4 of 14. Middleton was 12 of
Ooh,
26.
4 of 14.
Yep. And then
12
Middleton
of
was 12 of
26.
26. You can't get 16 of 40 from those two.
No.
And then you have Pat Connaughton, 3 of 6. You have Bryn Forbes, 2 of 5, 2 of 4 from 3. You got to get those role players some more shots. Brook Lopez had a game. He had 17 points on 14 shots, 7 of 14, 3 of 5 from 3. You got to get Brook Lopez more. If you're gonna play him, you got to get him more looks because he's playing
Yeah.
well on the offensive end. But I think they're gonna pull him out, give Giannis those center minutes because that's just what you ought to do at this point. He's getting cooked every time. It was whoever he was guarding was getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Bucks, Middleton had 44 minutes played while Giannis had 35.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Giannis played 35. It definitely felt like a lot less.
Yep.
Lopez played 22 minutes, had 17 points.
That's actually
He
pretty
played
impressive.
really well tonight on
He
the
played
offensive
really,
end.
yeah. He probably gave up at least 30 points on the other end.
More, definitely
Yeah.
more. Half of the Suns' offense was just green and roll to get Brook Lopez on the back end.
Yeah.
That's tough, man. It's
You
honestly
guys,
a disappointing
sorry.
game to watch.
Do you guys think personally Devin Booker can lead the team to a chip?
I mean, I think Chris Paul is the one leading. But if Chris Paul wasn't there, man, Devin Booker, I feel like he would go for 40s, man. Like
See,
he
the
would
thing
cook
about
up that little Brook Lopez screen and roll shit.
the thing
every
about
possession.
the thing about Booker, he's definitely not scared of the moment in the slightest.
Oh
Yeah,
hell
dude.
no,
Right?
he's Kobe, man. He every time what did he shoot tonight? He shot.
I think
He
it's
shot
10 or
8 of
26.
8 of 20, 8 of 21. But some of the shots, man, I felt like I was watching Kobe reincarnated, man. It was crazy to see tough
That's what-
fadeaways, falling, leaning. Just
Yeah, and
buckets.
that one shot where they called the offensive foul because he kicked out, but he made the bucket. So
He made the
that was a
bucket.
tough
That was
shot.
a tough shot. I think in retrospect, that was the right call, regardless of his intent. But that was a tough shot, man. He nailed it.
There's another reason why I feel like the Suns have a major advantage is their depth. Because you have guys like for the Bucks, the only real depth they have is Bobby Portis and Bryn Forbes. Right? They don't have DiVincenzo. He was
That's
okay.
a big piece they're missing, man.
Yeah, but then you look at the Suns off the bench. They have Saric, Craig, Payne, Johnson.
They had
All
Crowder
four?
shooting like me at the YMCA, 0 of 8 from the field, and they still took it. Crowder was the one that was hitting those tough shots, talking smack, giving them 10, 15 points a game. And they gave him nothing. He gave him 0. I think he made 1 free throw in the game. He's 0 of 8 from the field. He had 1 point in the game. He had 1 free throw, and they still won the game. Like, because that's just what you're saying. It's the depth. Crowder struggled. They had other guys show up. Bridges gave him a bunch. Booker and CP supplemented some of that. Ayton went off. Like,
Oh, Saric has a knee injury.
so that's what happened to him on that play.
Yep. I feel like that isn't the biggest loss because of how much depth the Suns have, which is crazy. Just like they still have more depth than the Bucks even after losing Saric.
The Suns had 3 guys get 20 plus. Booker had 27, Ayton at 22, Chris Paul at 32. They had 3 other guys give them 10 plus points, whereas the Bucks had Holiday with 10, but he barely got that 10. And then Middleton at 29, Giannis at 20, Brook Lopez at 17. They had 4 guys in double digits, and everyone else didn't. It's not like they shot poorly. They didn't get the other guys any shots. You had to get those shooters some shots. Connaughton shot well. Forbes shot well. Teague only shot 1 shot, so I'm not going to comment on his gameplay tonight. But the other guys shot really well. You got to get them more shots. If you're going to play them, you got to get them more shots, man.
I was honestly surprised that they played Teague.
Yeah, I was surprised they played Teague, but they needed the minutes. Holiday was struggling tonight.
Yeah, I think if anything, the Bucks and we all know Bud, like his coaching abilities, have been questioned throughout almost every playoff series this year. Well, they
Last
really
year
need
and
an
the year
offense
before.
getter, bro. They need someone to like make offense because they be jacking up some really stupid shots.
If you look at the Suns offense versus the Bucks offense, the Suns actually
No.
have a system.
Yeah, if anything, like just watch. If you rewatch like the highlights and shit, it's so obvious who's running the ball, right? Who's
Yeah.
running the court? It's the Suns, bro. They controlled the entire pace for the entire game.
And the thing is, it's not only Chris Paul, right? He's obviously a
Yeah, it's not
huge part in it, but when you look at a guy like Cameron Payne, he still makes the right play and plays at the right pace so that nothing gets messed up, right?
Yeah.
Because when you look at the Bucks, they don't have an actual system, so everything's still it's just getting messed up again and again and again.
Yeah.
You know? So, and they
And
don't have
Kobe.
like, I don't know if they really have a leader like that in terms of like showing the team the right thing to do.
I'm not
'Cause-
worried for the Bucks per se. We'll see what happens during the home game because statistically speaking, like role players do shoot better at home.
Yeah.
So we could see like what the Bucks can do. But I mean, like,
Hey,
yeah,
they
you're
always
right,
say
bro.
a series doesn't start till the road team wins. We'll see if the road team wins
Mhm.
in this series. I think the Suns will at least get a game in Milwaukee. They'll come back to Phoenix up 3-1. I think they're gonna take game 2. They've been playing really well. Hey, the Bucks could prove me wrong. I just don't see it, man. I don't see where they're going to get their offense from. I think Bud is too stagnant in making any kind of adjustments. He barely made that Brook Lopez adjustment today after God knows how long. He should not have been playing as he played quite a few minutes tonight, and he played well on the offensive end. I'll give him that. But you should have pulled him out. On the third play of the game, that was 3 plays in a row to start the game where they went at him. You got to pull him out right after that, man.
Yeah.
You can't just leave him out there.
I feel like I forgot what I was about to say. Holy.
Personally, the Suns, when I was watching that game, I feel like they were going more for threes over the Bucks. What do you guys think?
I feel
I
like
mean, the Bucks shot well from 3. From when we were looking at the statistics mid-game, they were shooting better from 3. I think the statistic you pulled up was they were shooting 48, and the Suns were shooting like 38. But the Suns, they got their threes from penetration, whereas the Bucks got their threes from just jacking.
actually no. I mean, even at the end of the game, the Bucks shot 44% from 3, and the Suns shot 32. But it just felt so much more lopsided than that.
It really did. The whole game felt lopsided. It was kind of disappointing to watch. I mean, Giannis was injured. I'm gonna put that in quotes. Injured. He looked insane on that chase down block. He came from the right.
Yeah, that was
right
crazy.
corner.
That was definitely play of the game, though. I can't
That was
lie.
play of the game. No doubt about it. It's either
Yeah.
that or that Chris Paul fadeaway like and 1-3.
The
Yeah.
chase down
Oh.
block.
That killed the momentum. That Chris Paul 3 killed any momentum the Bucks gained. Chris Paul just sat on it.
Yeah. It's like
Chris
It's
Paul
like Heart
is
Crusher Hall of Fame.
definitely
Heart
an
crusher.
amazing point guard.
Say it again?
And it's
Hundo.
crazy to see Chris Paul like this. People were telling us, yo, he's washed. Yo, people don't like him. He's not a good teammate. Nah, man, none of that's true. Chris Paul's a savant. He should have already had his ring by now with the Rockets. Got injured then, but I think he's gonna get his first now. Like, this is great for Chris Paul.
Okay, here's a question though. Who's worse as a coach, Doc Rivers or Bud?
Doc Rivers, I'm not gonna say he's a bad coach. I think last year he had Paul George go on his pandemic P streak. You can't do anything about that as a coach. You can't make your players shoot better. And then this year, same thing, pretty much. Ben Simmons didn't want to shoot the ball. You can't have a player like that. Coaching
but
can't.
I feel like as your responsibility of the coach is you shouldn't, what's the word? Like validate players' egos. If someone's refusing to take shots, let
You gotta
alone
pull 'em out.
layups, you gotta pull them out.
You gotta pull him out.
This is a team sport, bro.
Tyrese Maxey, I don't know how he played. I feel like he played well this playoffs. But what's the other guy? Shake Milton. He went crazy a couple of times. And I'm sitting here like, oh, would you rather have Ben? I understand, Ben Simmons, lockdown defender. He gave Trae Young fits in the last series. But
Yeah.
like, if you're gonna sit there and give me 0 shot attempts in 4 straight games in fourth quarters, I'd rather have Shake Milton out there give me buckets.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to say like this certain play is the defining moment of Ben Simmons in his career right now, but when he gave up that open layup in Game 7,
Yeah.
To
quarter,
Thibault, right? That Thibault dump off.
which resulted
shit.
with 1 out of 2 free throws made. Like it was Trey Young in front of him. Dunk that shit, Like,
Yeah, that was aggravating to watch.
Because like when you look at Doc Rivers, if you look at the one championship he won, the way he won it was very interesting because he had a bunch of smart players to really take care of the game plan. And then from there, he used to take care of their egos, which is his best skill. But when you go to a team like
you're talking
Philly,
about Boston, right?
Yeah. But when you go to a team like Philly, you have to take control of the game plan. You can't leave it up to them. You have
to take control. That's something the Bucks are lacking. They don't have that take control, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's end it off. Okay. How many games are? I mean, I think it's a unanimous that we think the Suns are going to take this. All 4 of us.
I feel like they'll sweep. To be honest.
Do you think they're going to sweep? Sumeet, how many games?
Maximum 5. I think it's going to go 5. Maximum 6, but I think it's going to go 5.
I think it's going to go 5. I think the Suns are going to close it out in Game 5 at home.
Yeah.
I could see it going 6. It's not going to 7. I wanted to see a 7-game series. I don't think it's going to 7, man. It's not.
Either ways, though, I think it's safe to say that like watching these two teams play, it's been pretty exciting.
The game was entertaining. There was the people out there that are talking about how this might be the least view finals. It may as well be, but to me personally, I love basketball. I'm gonna watch it anyways. And that wasn't a great game in terms of competitiveness.
Yeah, I wish I saw more
watching that. That Giannis block, one for the ages.
Mm-hmm.
That Chris Paul shot, that's gonna be a statue shot. Like
definitely a highlight.
No cap. But I think the Bucks they just don't have that, like I think Sumeet was saying it, they don't have that take control guy.
Yeah.
And
when you look
it sucks that they don't have Bogdanovich right now.
The last thing I'm gonna say,
huge for them.
Last thing I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna question Giannis's actual leadership as like a person, but from a basketball perspective, being able to lead your team in terms of game plan, in terms of what to do, because the way Giannis plays himself is flawed, right? So you can't actually lead your team offensively in any way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when your lead ball handler, I guess Drew Holiday is your lead ball handler. When your secondary ball handler can't shoot worth a lick, struggles at the free throw line, and gets most of his offense off of lobs and fast break dunks, like when it gets into the half court, the nitty gritty, the playoff basketball, like Sumeet was saying, like you're gonna struggle because especially when you have a burly big man like Brook Lopez out there that is objectively, let's be real here, a bit of an overrated jump shooter. He shot well tonight, but he is an overrated jump shooter. And when he's struggling, like you can't have 2 guys out there that are just 7-foot burly guys that can't shoot. It's they need to change it up.
All right.
Anyways, I think that's everything for tonight. Anything else anyone wants to add?
I think we're good.
Yeah,
I think we're good. All right.
All right.
That was the first podcast, Game 1 of the finals. Game 2's on Thursday. We'll post another one after that game. But it's been real. Good night.
Take care.
Easy, guys. Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. First, we want to give a huge shout out to Kaizad Draws. He helped create our YouTube banner and it looks super sick. So his IG is going to be in our description. Make sure you check him out and drop him a follow. We'll catch you guys next time for Game 2 on Thursday, but we'll be uploading our podcast on Friday morning.